Hey there, me again. Update, update, yo. Hey, y'all got to watch this last video where I put the carburetor on, got the vacuum line on, and all that good stuff, put the air filter on. Well, there's two things I forgot to do that by watching the video made me realize I forgot to do them. There's a little gasket, a little round gasket that goes on the top of the carburetor so that when the air filter sits down, it's got a gasket between the air filter and the carburetor. It was hanging on the wiper switch on the dash so it wouldn't get damaged. It's on. But until I watched the video a second time just now, that's when I noticed that I didn't hook up the choke cable. So tomorrow morning, if the weather's good enough, I'm going to jump out there, take the air filter back off, and hook up the choke cable so that when you pull the choke, and speaking of pulling the choke, the video back where I couldn't figure out what that switch was, but it pulled, that's your choke. And the switch that was on the opposite side of the ignition switch that was just kind of sticking straight out of the dash, that's the backup light. The switch that I showed you that was under the dash there, click, click, bang, bang, I don't know where it goes, but it was hooked up into some speaker wire going out to the back ass end of that thing. So it was probably something to turn on some kind of tunes or something in the trailer whenever they went vacationing, or the camper, or whatever. I don't know, but it's a dead switch just hanging there. So there's your update. Yeah, it's me again, and moving along. It's nice to know that I'm doing these videos and I'm catching myself on a few things. I mean, it's nice to, it's like, you remember the firing order problem? Memory thing. I know I wrote it down, but I said it out loud wrong and proved it wrong myself. There we go. But watching these videos has helped me out. It really has. It's me again. We're going to fade into the darkness tonight. Hey kids! It's me again! Package! Package! Yo! Check it out! Yeah? We know what it's supposed to be. Let's see what it is. We know it's supposed to be. So we're going to check it out. Hey! Brand new. But it's old. I mean, come on, man. It's an original 60s box. Now, I'm not sure whether my thermostat, this one, works or not. I'm going to check it. Because as you can tell, we have a whole size difference. I can drill it out. Everything else about it is identical. Everything is the same. The number 160 degrees, the company name, the way it's made. Mine needed this little O-ring gasket. It goes under, drops in and seals the bottom so that this flows into the engine before the main thermostat piece, because it goes in there like this. Before this opens up, it's running liquid through here in through the engine, because what happens is if this opens up and you get that ice cold water in the winter into that engine without any proper circulation, because they didn't put it around the cylinders, it will steam and immediately crack or blow head gaskets, crack the heads, or even the block. But mine needed this. There was only about much of it left in the bottom of my housing. This thing. See the little lippy in there? This sits on that lip. seals this up, makes it a double action. Without that gasket, it was no different than a normal thermostat. But I could drill the holes, and that would ensure that I have the proper flowage, or take their word for it that it's for this particular engine and put it in anyway and know that it just might run a little warmer. Who knows? But if it doesn't, I know I can take it back out and re-drill it. But there it is. Brand new. It's known as NOS. New Old Stock. That is an original part for my truck. Rockin'! We be rollin'! Woo! Johnny be goodin'! Hey kids! Me again. Hey, check it out. Busy day today. I decided to go ahead and get my water system happening on the truck. So what I did was, you saw the other video here, this is before this one, where the holes were different in this particular part. They were smaller, but it had the rubber gaskets. I'm guessing by the looks of my cooling system and the radiator and the way things were and how it was pickled and put away with a lot of antifreeze in it, I would venture to say, I didn't test it, but I would say the thermostat that was in the truck probably worked okay. So what I did is I used the rubber seal that wasn't underneath mine because it had rotted. So now it's all back together, all the heater hoses and everything, but I haven't got the heater hoses connected to the heater core because I'm not sure if it works. So what I did is I got a brass pipe and I slipped the two hoses together and hose clamped them so it don't leak, and I was able to fill my water system up because, you know, they had that funny little hose that went down off that little thermostat housing down into the top of the water pump. Got all my hoses in, got all the stuff tight. I don't see no drips, but I can't start it to find out yet. Because I need a starter, you know. But this part will be on the shelf. I got a real funny feeling it's for a car because it's got the smaller holes that went around the outside, whereas the truck is more of a heavy-duty work horse. Probably needed the cooler, so that's why I went with it. If it overheats because the thermostat don't work, it'll come apart real easy the way I did it, because the housing is metal and I let that stuff set up for a couple hours, so it was no tacky, but it squeezed it all down, got it nice and tight, clean bolts. If it works, I'm done. If not, I'll put this in and yeah, but I still need to go get a temperature gauge and oil sending unit and amp meter and get those mounted up. That way I know whether the temperature is running right. But other than that, I still got to hook up my choke cable. I still got to fix the exhaust bolts and put the donut in. I need to run a string with some cleaner through the one fuel line. I need to add where the rubber line was in the fuel. I have the rubber line, but I need to go to town and get an inline filter that you can see in besides the one that's on the carburetor. I want one before it goes to the pump because it won't guarantee it if it didn't have it. And I want that 10-year guarantee. Okay, so, but I'm going to put one in because whatever comes out of the tank won't get even into the pump and farther on. It'll be a two filter system. There we are. There you go. Johnny B running real soon. Yay. Peace. Hey kids, it's me again, and it's one of these days. It's like really dumping, winter storm warning. It'll break between 2 and 4 in the morning, and then it'll be kind of cloudy and whatever, man, but starting Sunday, we'll have about 4 days, maybe 5, of decent weather. Now, update. I got all the radiator stuff in. I still need to test the heater core, but I don't have to deal with that until summertime because I got a car that'll keep me warm. And so what we've got to do though is I had to race to town today. My starter is in. I got my starter. It's sitting in the back of the Subaru, hanging out with the original starter that I kept because it's date coded with the engine. It's the original starter. It means money when it goes to resale value. I can get it rebuilt. What I mean by that is I can buy through Napa Auto Parts all of the parts that I need to rebuild it. So I can rebuild it, put it back on, or stick it on the shelf, whichever comes first or after second. I don't care. But I got my starter. I did a look at the water system. No water. The wind blew really heavy all night, which dried up any water from when I flushed it and everything else. So it's like it's dry under the hood. No leaks anywhere that I can see. No drips down onto the ground from anywhere that I can't see. So that's about it, man. I got the starter. I still got to hook up the choke. I don't want to like do anything in this rain by opening up anywhere around the carburetor. That's all like covered with the air filter and everything. I got everything back together before our bad weather hit. So we're really, moving along. I figure I can get the starter in, hook up the choke. I got the fuel line today and the other filter that will be before the fuel pump from the tank. I can hook that line up and drop the 2-foot piece of hose I bought because I only need 8 inches, but I bought 2 foot so it'll drop down into a can of gas. I get the starter in, get it hooked up. I want to fill up the float and the filter there, that little filter bowl. I want to fill it up and try to force it into the float bowl to fill it up. And that way there's gas in the carburetor, and all I got to do is pull the choke, hit it a couple of times, turn the key. It should be running the day I put the starter in. I'm hoping that's what we're going to be doing. And that could be Sunday or Monday. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are supposed to be really nice days in the mid to upper 40s in the daytime. I'd rather use those days to crawl under, deal with the exhaust. Technically, I got to do the exhaust before I even start it. So I need that couple of days of drying up that muddy driveway that I got to lay in. But it's getting really close. It's going to be running before the end of the month. I'm stoked. And then once that's happening, then I can switch over and deal with my brakes. The clutch has a slave cylinder which works off of the brake master cylinder. I got to deal with replacing that, replacing the master cylinder, getting the wheels up off the ground, getting the tires and wheels off, trying to get the brake hubs off. The front is no problem. You just pull the cotter pin, you undo the nut, and they slide off. No, it's a 4-wheel drive. It's not like the front wheel drive on a half-ton. It's a 3/4 ton style rear end on the front. Technically, I'm going to have to soak them and beat them off with a sledgehammer that I'm going to have to go buy, because that's what it's going to take to get them off. Is you're going to have to beat them off. Got to let them soak with some oil on them for a day or two, and they should come off. And once they come off, then I can deal with replacing whatever in the brakes. And me, that means everything. Springs, all of that. I don't play games when I do brakes. I replace every bit of it so that I don't have to worry about a spring breaking, man, 6 months down the road, because it's 50 years old. So I'm gonna do all of that, and we're gonna hope that the clutch is gonna work. When I push that clutch in, I'm gonna hope that it actually has a good clutch in it. I still need to check finger wise. You got to go down to the first little joint, check all of the differentials front and rear and the transmission and the transaxle to make sure that there's fluid in them. If not, I got to bring them up to my fingertip with some 90 weight gear oil. And once that's done, and if the clutch works and the brakes are done, and the engine's obviously running, I'll take a trip down my driveway and hope that I make it back up. So there's an update on a rainy day, man. But the starter's here. and I'm on my way, man. That's all it took was to get that starter. I got the fuel pump, man. I got all these rare items, and it's slapping together here real good. Peace is me. Stay dry.